Trust News Center. This is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, Russian military action in Ukraine prompts House of Representatives to demand immediate evacuation of Nigerian citizens. Suspected killers of Captain Bala Allah arraigned before Kaduna High Court. Abuja Court to hear bail application of suspended DCP Abba Kyari. Crude oil hits over $100 per barrel amidst Russia-Ukraine crisis. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Hour. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. The news in full. Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba has accused Russia's Vladimir Putin of plunging Europe into its darkest time since the beginning of the Second World War in 1939 and urged Kiev's allies to hit Russia with sanctions immediately. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization, WHO, has voiced alarm over an expected health emergency in Ukraine. Amid the conflict rapidly unfolding in Ukraine, the WHO Regional Office for Europe reiterates its deepest concern for the safety, health and well-being of all civilians impacted by the crisis in the country and possibly beyond. The office said in a statement, warning any further escalation could result in a humanitarian catastrophe. Nigeria's House of Representatives on Thursday called for the immediate evacuation of Nigerians in Ukraine following reports of military action by Moscow. This followed a motion on matters of public importance on the urgent need to evaluate the level of threat to Nigerians studying and living in Ukraine. The lawmakers are worried that if strategic plans are not put in place to urgently secure and provide safe passage for Nigerian citizens, they may be trapped or even worse, harmed. Some lawmakers are, however, worried that this evacuation might be a little too late, as the government had enough time to evacuate citizens. The House immediately directed the leader, Alhassan Ado Dogwa, and his Committee on Foreign Affairs to liaise with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and other relevant agencies to immediately kickstart moves to evacuate Nigerians in Ukraine on Friday.
Late than never, and I think it's important at this point to forget all the bureaucratic bottlenecks. I think what is important now, if we actually have to look out for our citizens, especially the students, I think action needs to be taken now. And my thought is that the leader of the House and the chairman of Foreign Affairs, are you prepared to jet off to Ukraine tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
I think the leader of the House, the chairman of Foreign Affairs, should liaise with the Foreign Affairs Ministry today.
With all sense of responsibility,
if nothing positive comes out of that meeting and it's all about red tape, or we have to do this, we have to do that, I think you should liaise with the chairman, Airpeace.
Yes.
And whatever it's going to cost the House, whatever we need to do, I think we need to leave this, you need to leave this country latest tomorrow and head to Ukraine and head on back by Monday with as many students or citizens who are willing to come back.
Meanwhile, former Nigerian ambassador to Russia, Ambassador Jibril Chinade, in a previous interview with Trust TV, has called for de-escalation between Russia and Ukraine. He said there are over 12,000 Nigerian students in Ukraine alone.
Before I left, I was Nigerian ambassador to 15 countries, including Ukraine, because the Soviet Union broke up in 1991 and the split pieces became sovereign and independent since 1991, to which Ukraine was part of the then Soviet Union. We had a large number of Nigerian students there. When I was there, we had quite a number. But the last figure I got recently was that Nigeria has almost 12,000 students in Ukraine. So I know the country fairly well. It's a beautiful place, Kyiv, the capital, and we have many Nigerian students studying science, technology at the Ukrainian Institute of Science and Technology. We have a lot of Nigerians there.
And still on the Russia-Ukraine crisis, the federal government of Nigeria has announced plans to evacuate its citizens from Ukraine following an invasion by Russia on Thursday morning. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyema, in an interview with NTA, says the Nigerian embassy in Kiev has been contacted to arrange those wishing to return home from other areas, including Donetsk and Luhansk. The federal government said it's planning for special flight operations to evacuate Nigerian citizens from Ukraine in view of the escalating tension between that country and Russia. The minister assured Nigerians that the ministry is following the events since the beginning and promised to do everything for the safety of Nigerians in Ukraine, particularly students. The Russians have started attacking military installations in Ukraine amidst worries and accusations by the Western world of imminent invasion, which President Vladimir Putin has repeatedly denied. Meanwhile, the National Association of Nigerian Students in Ukraine has asked President Muhammadu Buhari to immediately evacuate them home because of the ongoing military action in Ukraine. The students, in a letter signed by an executive of the union, Eunice Eliaka, said gunshots and explosives have raided the territories occupied by Nigerian students. The students prayed the president to consider their requests with urgency it calls for. And joining us virtually is Dr. Aliyu Musa, a Nigerian resident in the UK, journalism lecturer, Coventry University researcher, and analyst on the war and peace. And all right, so I think that interview is not quite ready yet. We'll move on to other stories. At least 159 stranded Nigerians in Libya have been repatriated to Nigeria. They were received on Wednesday by officials of the federal government, led by the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA. According to NEMA, some returnees arrived with serious medical conditions as they were ferried out of the airports by medical personnel on ground. NEMA said the returnees comprise of 80 female adults, 14 female children and 1 female infant, while the male returnees included 67 adults, 6 children and 1 infant. And to judicial matters now, 3 suspects arrested in connection with the killing of Captain Abdul Karim Na'Allah, son of Senator Bala Na'Allah, have been arraigned before Kaduna State High Court.
Police in Kaduna paraded 2 suspects involved in the killing of Captain Na'Allah on September 16 last year, saying manhunt for 1 suspect at large. Police in Kaduna paraded 2 suspects involved in the killing of Captain Na'Allah on September 16 last year, saying manhunt for 1 suspect at large has begun. Kaduna government files charges against the 3 defendants accused of criminal conspiracy, armed robbery and culpable homicide. The matter is brought before Justice Amina Bello of Kaduna State High Court for mention. The State Solicitor General, Bayero Dari, speaks.
When the case was called, the first and second defendants are not represented by a counsel. And constitutionally, the nature of the charge, you can't proceed, you can't take any step without a representation for any defendant that is charged with that heinous crime like that. So that's why we advise the court to adjourn, so that to enable the defendant get a lawyer to represent them in the proceedings. But fortunately, the 3rd defendant has a counsel who had already applied for the bail of one of the defendants in court. We had already exchanged papers, we have filed our counter affidavit and written address to that effect. But we can't take that application because the 3 other defendants do not have lawyers. And it will infringe on their constitutional right to fair hearing, for the court to move on without representation. So that's why the court adjourned, and the directed that the Legal Aid Council of Kaduna State should supply legal representation.
Counsel for the 3rd defendant, Avon Emmanuel, says bail application for his client is not rejected by the court.
My bail application was not rejected. It is the argument of the application that was adjourned to another date. But we believe in the innocence of our client, and he presently is very ill. And the Kaduna State Correctional Facility does not have the facilities to take care of his said ailments. That was what brought about our application for his bail on special circumstances.
Late Abdul Karim Na'Allah, a 36-year-old aircraft captain, was allegedly murdered in his Kaduna residence on 29th of August 2021. The case is adjourned to March 21st. Fatima Salaladan, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Meanwhile, a federal high court in Abuja will on Monday hear bail application from suspended DCP Abba Kyari against his detention by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA. Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman reports that the suspended head of the Intelligence Rapid Response Unit is standing trial over alleged involvement in drug trafficking. His report.
Abba Kyari's counsel, Cynthia Obianaju, had filed an ex parte application seeking bail for her client on health grounds. But the court turned down the request and instead ordered the counsel to serve the respondent with all the court processes. At the resumed hearing on Thursday, the applicant counsel told Justice Nyangeko that they had complied with court directive, but the respondent's counsel, Mike Hassan, told the court he is yet to be served with the bail application.
NDLA claimed that they were not served with the motion on notice and the order of the court made on the 21st February 2022. But honestly, we effected service on them through the bailiff of the Honorable Court, which the proof is in the court file. But court is mindful to grant them another 48 hours for them to reply to the application. I don't have a problem with that. Let them reply.
Justice Inyangeko stands down the matter for an hour to allow for the service and continuation of hearing. Moments later, the parties returned, but this time with a request by the respondents for additional time to peruse the motion. The trial judge, Justice Inyangeko, granted the respondents' request and adjourned to the 28th of this month as he advised parties to commit to an accelerated hearing in the matter. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And the Court of Appeal in Abuja has reduced the sentence of former member, House of Representatives Farouk Lawan, to 5 years. In unanimous judgment on Thursday, a three-member panel of the Court of Appeal, led by the court's president, Justice Monica Dongban Nensam, squashed Lawan's conviction on counts 1 and 2. The court held that the prosecution failed to prove both counts relating to demanding for and agreeing to accept $300 million bribe from Otedola, noting that the prosecution only proved the third count relating to his accepting a bribe of $500,000. The court then acquitted Lawan on counts 1 and 2, on which he was sentenced to 7 years per count, but convicted him on count 3, on which he is sentenced to 5 years on an appeal by Lawan. Recall Lawan's conviction by a high court of the Federal Capital Territory on June 22, 2001, sentenced Lawan to 7 years on count 1, 7 years on count 2, and 5 years on count 3, following a 3-count charge of soliciting bribe, agreeing to accept bribe, and actually accepting a $500,000 bribe from a businessman, Femi Otedola. You're watching Trust TV News Hour. Coming up after the break, repentant sex workers get married. This and more after the break. Do stay with us.
Coronavirus disease, COVID-19, is an infectious disease caused by SARS-CoV-2 virus. Most people who fall sick with COVID-19 will experience mild to moderate symptoms and recover without special treatment. However, some will become seriously ill and require medical attention. The virus can spread from an infected person's mouth or nose in small liquid particles when they cough, sneeze, speak, sing, or breathe. These particles range from larger respiratory droplets to smaller aerosols. You can be infected by breathing in the virus if you're near someone who has COVID-19 or by touching a contaminated surface and then touching your eyes, nose, or mouth. The virus spreads more easily indoors and in crowded settings. Maintain a safe distance from others at least 2 meters even if they don't appear to be sick. Wear a mask in public, especially indoors or when physical distancing is not possible. Clean your hands often. Use soap and water or an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Cover your nose and mouth with your bent elbow or a tissue when you cough or sneeze. Stay home if you feel unwell. Get vaccinated. Properly fitted masks can help prevent the spread of the virus from the person wearing the mask to others. Masks alone do not protect against COVID-19 and should be combined with physical distancing and hand hygiene. Protect yourself and others around you by knowing the facts and taking appropriate precautions. Follow advice provided by your local health authority. This message is brought to you by Trust TV.
This is Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. You're still watching Trust TV News Hour. Now a look at our top stories. Nigeria's House of Representatives on Thursday called for the immediate evacuation of Nigerians in Ukraine following reports of military action by Moscow. And 3 suspects arrested in connection with the killing of Captain Abdul Karim Na'Allah, son of Senator Bala Na'Allah, have been arraigned before a Kaduna State High Court on Thursday. And to other news now, Defense Headquarters says 466 terrorists have surrendered, while scores killed in different operations within 2 weeks in the northeast. The Director, Defense Media Operations, Major General Bernard Onyoku, stated this while giving updates on military operations across the country from the 10th to 24th of February in Abuja. Onyoku said the sustained land and air raids by the troops led to surrendering of 466 Boko Haram and Islamic State of West Africa Province ISWAP terrorists comprising of 120 adult males, 137 females and 209 children. In Operation Safe Haven, the defense spokesman said the troops had sustained both kinetic and non-kinetic operations across Plateau and parts of Kaduna State, noting that the non-kinetic effort led to the convening of a peace summit between Irigwe youths and Fulani youth on February 17th as a prelude to the implementation of a peace plan to ensure lasting peace in the area, among other successes. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Army on Thursday said the troops of the 82 Division have dislodged some camps belonging to the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, and its militant wing, the Eastern Security Network, ESN, in areas located in Ihiala and also local government areas of Anambra and Imo states. A statement issued by 2 newsmen by the Director, Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Onyema Nwachukwu, said the development followed an operation conducted by the troops on Wednesday. According to the statement, the outlawed group ambushed the gallant troops during the clearance operations, but were overpowered by the army, who uncovered decomposing bodies of kidnapped and murdered victims, allegedly dumped in a deep well by members of IPOB and ESN. Onyema also revealed that another operation conducted on Thursday by the troops in collaboration with the Nigeria police busted IPOB and ESN syndicate that allegedly disrupted the just concluded local government council elections at some polling stations in Nkanu West of Enugu State. He said the operation carried out around Centenary Estate, Obiagu, Uno, led to the recovery of AK-47 rifles, 2 pump-action rifles, 10 rifle magazines, 8 live cartridges, 74 live rounds of 7.62 mm special ammunition, 1 hand grenade, and a tipper truck containing 3 corpses. And the Nigerian Senate has raised concern over the rising trend of out-of-school children, often forced to marry at a tender age in some parts of the country. Consequently, the Senate has asked the federal government to put up policies that will stem the tide. The call was made in a 6-point resolution reached by the lawmakers following a motion considered on the need to curb the increasing spate of kidnappings and other crimes across the country. The report.
The motion, titled Urgent Need to Summon All Kinds of Kidnappings, Banditry and Related Security Challenges, was sponsored by Senator Bala Ibi Nala. Nala, in his presentation, noted with concern the current rise in security challenges in Dako, Wazagu, and Sakoba local government areas of Kebbi State, and indeed across the Federation.
Disturbs that if urgent step is not taken and a decisive action is not taken to curtail this security situation, the situation may further deteriorate into a very huge humanitarian crisis for the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and in particular, the government of Kebbi State, Niger, and neighboring Zamfara. Accordingly, the Senate resolves to call on the federal government and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Nigeria to deploy massively the military and other law enforcement agencies to conduct a rigorous operation that will bring an end to the banditry and cattle rustling in the affected area.
The motion generated a number of contributions in the floor of the Senate, during which lawmakers contributed the problem of insecurity to high number of out-of-school children, early marriage in the northern part of the country, and abject poverty across the country, asking the federal government to apply policies to curb the ugly trend.
It's a holistic approach. The military can only do so much. I mean, as long as if we're sitting down here by 2025, then we say we have another 20 million children out of school. Unless we have a comprehensive approach to all this issue, the security issue in this country will continue to get worse. So all this ad hoc reaction and the police, the army, the tornado, and everybody, it's not going to work. We must have a comprehensive approach. I mean, and declare a martial law against out-of-school children. Look at how do we reduce all this. I mean, find all this poverty issue. As long as that is increasing by the day, as long as you have more children out of school, that is increasing, as long as you have underage children giving birth again to poverty, I mean, it's a perfect fertile ground. And then you have all these countries around Nigeria that have broken down. You have people, you have ISIS, you have Nigeria is a fertile ground for recruiting.
Are the governors truly the chief security officers of their respective states? If the answer is yes, why can't we support the creation of state policing? The security is getting off hand in this country. This is time for us to forget about personal interest and support the creation of state policing. We need to support them. If truly governors are the chief security officers of their states, they must be able to have control of the policing in their respective states.
I think apart from calling on the security, even our leaders should fear God. We need to fear God. If we can protect ourselves and we leave other lives being lost, there will be a day that God will ask us and we will account for that.
We have faith in our armed forces and security agencies. We have faith in them. And to be honest, they are doing a good job with what we have been able to give. We have not given enough. Some of them die. Some are maimed in the process. Even if we are not getting the outcome that we want, we should continue to encourage them and push.
Accordingly, the Senate urged the federal government not only to deploy the law enforcement agencies to affected areas, but also to rise up to the challenges occasioned by this high number of out-of-school children, early marriage, and abject poverty.
Now, the main issue on the front burner is the Russia-Ukraine crisis. And as advertised earlier, joining us virtually is Dr. Aliu Musa. He's a Nigerian resident in the UK, a journalism lecturer at Coventry University, and also a researcher on war and peace. And he's also the co-founder of Mikia TV to discuss the Russia-Ukraine issue. Good evening and welcome to News Hour.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Straight into it. Now, this invasion of Ukraine by Russia, how dangerous do you think it actually is? And does it have the capacity or the propensity to degenerate into a full-scale war?
It depends on how the U.S. and its allies react to this situation. The way I see it, it is quite unlikely for the NATO allies to take a very silly decision, because at the moment what we are seeing is a very lose-lose situation. Because what we have at hand is a situation whereby um, Vladimir Putin believes that he is already there with an option of, if I can have it, then nobody else should. And that is why he has decided to move right into Ukraine, because security, the security of his question, the security of his country, was already at a very high risk. If he had not moved into Ukraine, his country was already in danger in the first place. So moving in was an option that he had no choice but to take it. So that was why he had to move in. And I don't believe the US and its allies would be so silly to risk everything and go headlong into a full-scale war with Russia over Ukraine. No, that is a very big risk no one will want to take.
So in the event that the crisis escalates, and it keeps on escalating from what it is right now, because we've already heard reports of some strategic attacks being carried out. So if in the event that it degenerates and it continues to degenerate, so what does the rest of the world do? Do we just stand back and watch?
Well, what I am seeing, the worst that would happen in this situation is that I will get to a point whereby the US, the NATO allies, the Europeans, and all others behind the US would go on imposing more and more sanctions on Russia. I cannot see any serious military operation that is going to happen to Russia. All the talks about they moving in and taking actions against Russia, it's not something that anyone with any realistic vision of what, or even imagination of what is going to happen were they to go and face Putin headlong would want to take. I mean, this is someone who has got weapons of mass destruction in his hand. He's already there. The Russian army have taken over the Chernobyl, the facilities, the nuclear facilities in Ukraine. So if it's a matter of going there and they unleash it on the world, and only God knows what is going to happen if they do that. So I can't see them taking that risk. The worst is that there will be sanctions. all over, and maybe limited military attacks on the on Russian interests, but not full-scale war.
Do you think these sanctions that we're talking about now, do you think these sanctions have the capacity to actually make Putin backtrack on his Ukrainian attack?
Well, if sanctions were to uh, make any country, uh, backtrack, why has Iran not backtracked over the years? Why has China continued to move forward? Why? I mean, it would do nothing to Russia. It might affect Putin's Russia in a way, because yes, definitely it will affect the country once it is isolated. But what in the end would happen is if President Putin has prepared, if actually he had been proactive and been fully aware of the possibility of the outcomes or the actions that would follow his action, then he would have taken care of the loophole. If he had done his homework very well, then I don't think any serious action will affect him. So we should expect the some normal minimum effect beyond which any country like his would survive. So I don't expect that to make him, go down on his knees begging them or feeling sorry. Russia will survive.
All right. So there's some accusations from some quarters, or should I say, some people actually have the idea that Vladimir Putin is trying to bring back the old USSR, and they see this Ukrainian invasion as a stepping stone to annexing other countries. Can we envisage something like that?
Well, whether that is a possibility or not, what we need to understand is the issue at hand borders on the security of Russia. Issue at hand basically is that no country, no superpower with the kind of strength of Russia would stand back and watch while a country that shares border with it would be coaxed or even persuaded to join hands with others that are seen as enemies. Then, just right by your border, your enemies will come and take away your neighbor and use your neighbor as a base. No, it's not possible. That is what Russia is saying. Ukraine is just by Russia, and they are telling Ukraine, come and become a member of NATO. So to get into Russia it's just going to be a matter of seconds or a matter of minutes, and then they will overrun Russia. So that is the key thing there. Whether Russia is planning to get back the former USSR or not, that is something else. But right now, Putin is saying the country's security is first and foremost. And unless that is sorted, every other thing is secondary. Let us look at that issue first and know whether it is genuine or not. I mean, this is something that has been happening. Other countries that dared to speak about their security were overrun, and then no one could come out to speak for them because they haven't got the strength to fight for themselves. But Russia has got the strength, and that is why it is standing up against them.
All right, so let's talk about how this invasion can have an effect on the world economy. We've already seen oil prices rising because of this. Do we expect to see more of these changes in the world economy because of this current invasion as it is?
Well, definitely a lot of things are bound to be affected. Like you mentioned, oil prices. By tomorrow, you see the stock market target. Oil prices will be made. Uh, they'll go up. the most important thing is that by the time the sanctions are imposed, Russia is affected or not. The basic thing is whether Russia is affected. The basic thing is that it will be. I mean, it will have countries that will be on its side as well, and we will have trading alliances to help Russia sail through this difficult time. Like China, remember, China, in spite of all things, it came out unscathed. So the world economy would be affected positively, negatively, in so many ways. And don't forget that with the use of force and probably some spillage or misuse of some nuclear or chemical materials or whatever that might be by accident or deliberately, you we will see increase in some health issues across the globe. So by the time that happens again, you'll see more effect on the economy and so many other things. So we
Thank
should
you
expect
very much
some sort of
for those
effect on the
insights,
global
and
economy.
thank you very much for coming on News Hour this evening. Invasion, his analysis. So we're still watching Trust TV News Hour. We'll take a short break and the news continues after this. Welcome back. You're still watching Trust TV News Hour. Now, 575 commercial sex workers in Bauchi have been rehabilitated to begin a new life. The Sharia Commission has commenced training for the repentant sex workers on various skill acquisition, while 2 of them got married. Adam Imam has details.
At the flag of ceremony held at Tudun Wadan Danya Bayangari in Bauchi Metropolis, the training was organized by the Hizbah unit of the State Sharia Commission with the aim to empower the sex workers on various trades such as cosmetology, computer literacy, as well as micro-enterprise enhancement.
As you are all aware, and those who are following the trend of activities in the state knows that we, the people of Hizbah, that is staff of Hizbah Command Bauchi State Sharia Commission, we embark on a head count, in other words, census of the commercial sex workers who are living in this area. Alhamdulillah, we census not less than 575 commercial sex workers from various states. In fact, some are from Chad, some are from Cameroon. So we census them.
Barrister Isa maintained that the training will last for 3 months, therefore providing them with the working tools and seed capital to establish their businesses.
Out of these 575 commercial sex workers, they choose not less than 8 different businesses which they want to train on. For example, a lot of them choose issue of makeup, tailoring.
The State Commissioner for Religious Affairs, Alhaji Umar Odubo, says they are proud of the cooperation accorded to the present government and the state, while appealing for their total repentance on such act. The new marriage contract was conducted by the chief imam in the area between the 2 repentant sex workers, which drew the attention of many who reside at Bayangari. The new couples thank God and promise not to engage on prostitution any longer. Now that we are repentant and got married, God will give us the wisdom, because I'm a businessman selling tea and indomie at one joint in this area.
When we started, I went to the State Sharia Commission on our mission that I need to get married. They asked me, "Are you sure? Did you get a husband to marry?" I said, "Yes." "So you want to leave these ugly activities?" Again, I replied, "Yes." They promised to make necessary arrangements, and here we are.
The Sharia Commission assures they will give them equal and fair treatment to make them more productive in the society. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
Now, President Muhammadu Buhari says some projects executed by both federal and state governments attest to the fact that providing infrastructure is critical for good governance. The president said this while inaugurating projects in Nasarawa State. Abubakar Abdullahi sent in the story.
President Muhammadu Buhari is visiting Nasarawa State for the first time since the assumption of Abdullahi Sule as governor of the state. The reason for the 2 days working visit is for the project commissioning, which according to the president, while inaugurating them, have direct impact on the citizens. On arrival, President Buhari was received at the newly built airport in Lafia, which he instantly inaugurated. Also inaugurated are bus terminal, Vocational Technology Institute, Lafia branch of CBN, and 330 kV power substation in Akurba. For carrying out projects that will improve the life of the citizenry, President Buhari commended Governor Abdullahi Sule of the state. The president was also at the palace of Emir of Lafia, where he appreciated the people of the state, urging the traditional rulers as well as other leaders to sustain qualitative engagement with their subjects.
So much has been done that I couldn't find my way out from the time I came last. We do not abuse the trust God has given us by giving us this leadership in various steps.
There has never been one time that I have visited Mr. President on the area of security and he did not respond immediately. And that's what the substation which graciously this administration has provided to us, Lafia as a community and to the state. We have taken out
3 governors of Kogi, Kebbi, and Plateau State, as well as the deputy governors of Benue and Ebonyi State, were in the state as part of the president's visit. Abubakar Abdullahi, Trust TV News.
We apologize for the poor audio quality on that report. Now, the Bureau for Public Service Reforms says collaboration with the media is critical to the realization of its mandate of entrenching transparency and accountability in government business. Director General of the Bureau, Dasuki Ibrahim Arabi, said this during a courtesy visit to the management of Trust TV in Abuja. Chijoki Okafo reports.
The Bureau of Public Service Reforms was established on 4th February 2004 as an independent and self-accounting body charged with the mandate of initiating, coordinating and ensuring the full implementation of government reforms and policies, especially with regards to civil service in the country. A team, led by the Director General, BPSR, has held a meeting with top management staff of Trust TV. The objective is simple: to intimate Trust TV on the activities of the Bureau, which include transforming the civil service and issues surrounding the monetization policy.
I'm really happy and glad to be with you this morning because I see you as an epitome of the Bureau of Public Service Reforms. Something that started very small and is leading change and shaking the media platforms in Nigeria. That is why we say we should come and pay you a visit. Congratulate you on the wonderful work you are doing and see how we can work with you to improve the quality of public service we deliver in Nigeria.
In response, Trust Television's General Manager Ibrahim Shehu Adamu expressed gratitude for the visit while assuring corporate collaborations between both organizations. He stressed that Trust TV is focusing on documentaries because of the need to tell African stories by Africans, with focus on human angle stories and investigations. He described the BPSR as a strategic partner, especially on issues that have to do with transparency and accountability.
So apart from documentary, you want to concentrate on human angle stories and investigative journalism. And like you've mentioned, you are heading an agency that is quite critical to service delivery and efficiency of governance. Our job as the Fourth Estate of the realm is to ensure that we hold government to account and also make sure that things that government is set out to do are done in line with its policies. So while you were mentioning some of the things, it's kind of fitting exactly at media as a watchdog what we should be doing. So I felt this is kind of like a very key agency that we need to collaborate with to understand those issues.
At last, with the new reforms BPSR is bringing to the table, Nigerians look forward to a better service in the public sector, where the interests of all civil servants are protected and public institutions are held accountable and are very transparent.
We have seen an excellent outfit that is being managed very well. We'll try to see how we can get government outfits similar to this to work together, they exchange ideas and learn from each other. The document we're driving, the National Strategy on Public Service Reforms, has a space where we say private sector should work with us and we work with private sector so that we learn, because I believe we have things to learn from each other.
Chijoki Okafo, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Ahmadu Bello University Zaria Students Representative Council has honored Media Trust Assistant General Manager, Northern Operations, Abdullahi Nasara, with the Award of Excellence. The award is in recognition of his contribution to humanity and professional media practice. According to the President of the Council, Malam Nasara's excellent contribution to the media industry is outstanding and cannot be left without recognition.
Nigeria and Nigeria at large, because as student union body of the Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, we try to encourage personalities like him to do more to the society, to do more to Nigeria. We need people like them. We need people that are committed and dedicated to the upliftment of this country. So we find him worthy of recognition That is why we are presenting this award of honor to serve as an encouragement for him to do more, and the likes of him to see what we are doing to serve as a source of motivation for them to also do more.
I'm very happy, and I believe the award, me giving the award doesn't make me a better person than others. I feel that it's an opportunity, a recognition of the little that I have been doing to humanity, and I personally look at it as a challenge for me to do more to my company, to the society that I live in, and then to the greater humanity. One, I will thank them. Yeah. Then two, I will tell them to remain committed to their studies, because if you want to contribute to the society and to the larger society, then you need to really get educated. Because if you are not educated, as much as you may want to contribute to maybe the betterment of your society that you live in and the country, you can't do anything. If you are educated, then you have the first step of being in a position to maybe do more when you find yourself in such positions.
Thank you very much.
So I would really say that much to them.
Now to economic matters, where oil price on Thursday rose to over $102 per barrel for the first time since September 2014, with escalating tensions between Russia and Ukraine. The global oil benchmark, Brent crude, rose over 5% to trade at $102.27 per barrel. Reports say West Texas Intermediate witnessed a corresponding increase of over 5% at $97.06 per barrel. A development coming after Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered a special military operation in Ukraine's Donbas region. Meanwhile, the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, recently started a 4-week nationwide strike. Those affected aren't just the students, but also campus businesses. Those affected are campus businesses, but also, when the continuous strike, is it killing campus businesses? Shamun Dabeng has more.
I'm standing here in front of the popular Adelabu market in University of Abuja. Now, this popular market usually has students trooping in their numbers to get whatever it is that they need. But as you can see, there's not a lot of activity going on as students have been sent home yet again for another strike. For many of the business owners, their means of livelihood comes solely from what they sell on campus. Many have lamented the state of things and want ASU and the government to come to a conclusion soon so they may go back to their regular sales.
It has affected our business in several ways. And because it is our livelihood, it means that we need to feed our families. Even we can say that it affected our business more than the students. So we are appealing to the ASU and also the government at least to come to an agreement and resolve it at once.
Seriously, really affect my business because I even reach like 3 days or 4 days before I come shop. Or just come up on base of make I clean my goods, make those no come there too much. Because we really depend for this business seriously. As someone will be family, I be family man. So if I not come out, I can get where I will take care of my house. So seriously, this strike is really affecting me.
Until they move, half mood of rice, we can't finish it. We must carry it to house. They used to chop beans and bread for my place well. But since this thing started, 3 modu, I can't sell it. I can't reduce 2 modu. The same thing. See, if you said before all this bread, I used to buy bread 5,000, 4,000. But this one, bread 2,000, you know, feel sell. And why we just there come this instead of staying for house? Because I myself, I don't like to stay for house.
My business is not the most, it's very affecting me seriously. Where because sometimes if I often going school day, I used to sell like 50,000, 60, but now by this time today, safe, as I often I not said anything. I'm a family man. I have wife, I have children. So when this strike come now, I don't have what I will do. Some days I used to carry my shoe, go outside like soccer, bridge. I will go on top of the bridge. Maybe I will sell like 2 to 3. That's where I used to come eat me and my children.
The sustenance and growth of these businesses are dependent on the presence and patronage of students, but they're suffering low patronage as ASU strikes yet again. Chamun Dabeng, Trust TV News.
And in sports, Nigeria Customs Service and Omigard International emerged champions of the 2022 Beach Volleyball President Cup in the men and women's category. Adini Ajishafe has details and more on sports.
Nigerian Customs Service and Omigard International are champions of 2022 Beach Volleyball President's Cup in men and women category. Omigard International defeats former champions Kada Kings 2-0 in the men's final, while Nigeria Immigration Service beat Nigerian Customs Service to settle for third. In women's senior category, defending champions Nigerian Customs Service retained the title, while Adamawa Queens are second. Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps came third after seeing off Kada Emirates 2-1. Under 18 girls category, Rubicon team came first as Pro Spikers picked second position with Kada Queens third. Kada Queens emerged winners in the under 19 boys, while Borno State came second. Nile University team won bronze. President Nigerian Volleyball Federation Engineer Musa Nimrod commends all players for a team spirit exhibited in the championship. Beach volleyball tour will start in July and will hold in Adamawa, Oyo and Akwa Ibom State. Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya has flagged off the first Chief of Army Staff Combat Platoon Cross Country Championship 2022 at the Elele Military Cantonment in Rivers State. Chief of Army Staff, represented by Corps Commander Nigerian Army Ordnance Corps Major General Ayobami Bikunle, says the competition is aimed at harnessing physical fitness and readiness of Nigerian Army personnel to effectively confront the myriads of security challenges in the nation. Combat Platoon Cross Country Championship are drawn from all divisions of the Nigerian Army, which include 1 Division Kaduna, 2 Division Ibadan, 3 Division Jos Plateau, 6 Division Port Harcourt, 81 Division Lagos, and 82 Division Enugu State, with Army Headquarters garrison Abuja, except for 7 and 8 divisions who are currently on operations in the Northeast and Northwest, respectively. That's Sport News. I am Adeni Ajishafe.
And that wraps up Trust TV News Hour for tonight. Don't forget, you can subscribe to watch us live on YouTube and, of course, follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Thanks for staying with us.